Welcome everybody. This is my first 3 video tutorial. It's about getting started with Maya. This video is made for absolute beginners who are just beginning to know Maya and want to start practicing. So if you're new and don't know what to make or how to practice, I hope this can somewhat help you. So today I'm having a Chinese cartoon house sketch that I drew a long time ago, and we'll see how we can turn this concept into a simple model in Maya. Alright, let's get started. We have our Maya workspace over here. It looks like this. You zoom in and zoom out by scrolling your middle mouse button. Before modeling, I want to show you how to set up your measuring unit. Go to Window, Setting Preferences, Settings, and set the unit to whatever you need. Now I think I will start off with a cube. You can move the object by selecting the Move tool or pressing W button on the keyboard. This is the scaling tool, which is the R button, and we have another one which is the rotating tool. It's the E button. What I'm doing now is basically just changing the shape of the cube and its position. This is going to be the body of the house. There's something else I forgot to show you, is to display your poly count. Go to Display, Heads Up Display, and Poly Count. That's how you can keep track of it. Basically, just the more poly count you have, the heavier your file is going to be. I have created another cube for the roof. Again, scaling it to appropriate size. I want this to be the top part of the roof. By the way, to change the viewport in your scene, you can press the space bar. It's going to show you all 4 viewports, and you drag your mouse over the viewport that you want to go to and press the space bar again, and here you go. Right now I'm at the front view. It only shows you the front of everything in the scene, whatever face is facing that way. You cannot rotate to see any other side. Again, just resizing. What I'm going to do now is go to Attribute Editor, and I'm going to subdivide the cube so that I can easily reshape the cube. You're going to see it in a minute. It's a little bit too much. Okay. Yeah. You can try this. To modeling tool. These tools allow you to select different components of objects, like faces, edges, and vertices. I want to select just the top surface of this thing, so I'm going to select everything and then deselect the bottom part. There you go, like this. Now I'm going to scale this surface. Not like this. This is called Soft Selection Tool. If you press B on the keyboard, what it does is when you do something to the selected components, it's going to affect the surrounding components to a certain range as well. Something like this, because I want to create the pointy top of the roof, as you can see in the concept. Now I want to select and resize the ring of edges. If you double click on one edge, it's going to also select the whole series of edges that are connected together. You will get it when you start doing it. You know what I mean? Now, what I want to do here is I want to expand a surface from this piece so that I can create the bottom part of the roof. I'm already selecting the bottom surface, as you can see, and by pressing Shift and dragging it down, or scaling it out, I have an extended part of the object, and this action is called extruding. Now you can see I kind of have a basic shape of a roof. Now I just have to reshape it by the basic techniques I've been doing from the beginning, as I already showed you: selecting and affecting the components, resize the edges, resize the face. One thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna cut this object into more faces. This tool is called multi-cut, and I'm holding shift so that I can have the straightest edges I can get. And when it's split into smaller parts, I can resize to make curves. Actually, there's one thing here I haven't talked about, is symmetry. If you activate symmetry with a certain axis, it's going to help you to select corresponding components along that axis on both sides. For example, right now I have symmetry on for object X, which means I can select two components at a time symmetrically, so that whatever I do to one thing, it's going to do the same to the other side, so that I can have a balanced and symmetrical outcomes without having to do it manually twice. I'm just going to speed up this part, okay, because it's basically just me resizing the faces and the edges to achieve the look of the roof by using techniques I've been showing you so far. Alright, I think I can leave the roof like this for now and move on to the body of the house. Again, I also subdivide this cube to reshape it. Do the same thing with the other one, selecting and then reshaping the surface because I want this house to look kind of cartoonish. So I think I'm gonna make this body look very wacky, I suppose, and rounded. What I do here is I bevel the four corners of this body just to make it less sharp and also consolidate the shape around these areas when I turn this model into smooth mode. Okay, we have the basic form, the house already looks like this. Just refining, reshaping. Make this a little bit bigger, move it a little bit. I'm gonna shape the curve of the roof. It's pretty simple so far, right? You just have to mess around and use the tools as much as you can, and you just get a hang of it in one day or something. Now I'll move on to the next part. I'm gonna create the little wiggly borders that you see on the roof. In the concept, just simple cube, resize it, make it into a beam or bar, something like that. Also subdivide it so that I can bend it. Yes. Same here, like the last trick. I'm selecting faces, use soft selection, then drag it and create a little curve for the bar. Attach it, put it here, move it until you see appropriate. And I mean, right now we're just blocking out the components of the house. Whenever we already have the structure, we can go back to fix and refine these parts later. Okay, now I duplicate this bar to make the one on the side. You can either copy and paste or pressing Ctrl D or Command D if you're on a Mac. You can also change the transition of objects in the channel box on the right if you want to be exact, because you'd have to type in the number. Right here I want to rotate this bar in a 90-degree, so I'll just do it in the channel box and it's faster. For these roof beams or the things that need symmetrical copies, I'll just make only one for each view, and later on when I already have a finished one, I will just duplicate it to all the other sides. Now again, I'm reshaping this just like the other ones. Move this, rotate it so that it looks connected. Making another copy for another one. one more copy. This one over here on the edge. For this one, I want to reshape it a little bit, make it kind of wacky, see how it looks. Same old trick, soft selection and resize. I'm just following the concept art. As we can see around the corners, these beams kind of point up, so trying to achieve that look. Making copy again. So this one over here will be a little bit different. It has a little curl at the end, and I'm gonna show you how I want to do this. I'm gonna select the end surface and extrude it. I will keep extruding this, rotate it and reposition it at the same time to create the curve that you see. So apparently I made a few mistakes along the way, which took me more than expected to make this thing. But anyway, it should be a simple process to make this curl for the bar. I know it's a little bit tedious, but that's how 3D modeling is. You just have to keep repeating steps, thing, and fixing mistakes. When you want to go deeper into it, there are gonna be more and more tedious stuff, which is basically an artist's life. Okay, not great, but we have the basic shape. So now we can put it in the model right here, position it. We can come back to refine these parts later. What I'm gonna do now is to create the holes for the corners of the house. Again, start with a simple cube, lengthen it, test to see if it's the right size. I want to make this a little bit shorter. Oh, also if you want to select multiple things, you can drag the mouse over all of them without having to press and hold shift. Also subdivide this cube, and I'm gonna show you another way that I can bend this pole, because obviously it should be curved. First of all, I want to create the ends of this pole, so select around this many faces and then scale it up like that. Okay, we'll see how it goes. Now if you switch to animation workspace, go to deform, nonlinear, and bend. Remember to select the object though. Yeah, and okay, go to channel box. Here you have the bend option, and voila. You can adjust how much you want the object to bend by changing the number. And I'm gonna rotate this a little bit so that it bends diagonally. Okay. Test if it looks right. Okay, and when you're satisfied, remember to delete the history of the object by clicking on the clock icon up on the toolbar you see up there, and the deformer will go away and the object is gonna stay in that form that you made it. Also, I don't remember telling you about isolation mode. Select an object and hit Ctrl 1 if you want to view it only, and hit Ctrl 1 again and it comes back to normal and show everything else. Now there's one more beam on the roof I didn't do yet. It's the top one, the one that has two curls on both sides. And again, I'm making a copy of the symbol bar. Put it here, put it down. Actually, I'm reshaping it. I'm making the middle a little bit smaller, sides are bigger. And I'm gonna do the same thing that I did with the other curl on both sides. So I'm gonna turn on symmetry, in this case object X, and then select the end surface, reposition, rotate. I'm gonna extrude it. making this a little bit longer, put it down. Okay, not too bad. We have the structure. Now we can start refining these parts a little more, and after that we will move on to the details. Now, I'm going to keep this model in the smooth mode so that it can look much smoother and more rounded, so that I can achieve the look that I want. If you select the object and hit 3 on the keyboard, it would turn that object into the smooth mode that you can see here. But this also means that it increases our poly count to a very high number. So it's up to you whether you want to keep it in smooth mode or not. Now I'm gonna try to fix this a little bit more. Okay, I think we're ready to duplicate all of them. I'm gonna show you an easy way to duplicate and position these things to be symmetrical over the center of the house. So we're gonna have to change the pivots of each of these things first. And in this case, the pivot of each object should be the same as the middle of the house because they're all symmetrical over that. To do this, you select the object, press D on the keyboard, and press V, then drag it towards the middle, and it's gonna snap your pivot to point. And because our house has a vertex in the middle, so we can easily put this pivot in the middle. Then go to Edit, Duplicate Special, and you have a window where you can adjust your option. Before I duplicate this, I have to delete the history, freeze transformation, and in this case I have to duplicate it over the z-axis, so it's gonna be -1 in the z scale. And then just repeat the same thing for the other beams and poles. Change their pivots first and then duplicate it over the corresponding axis. Now I'm making copies for the other poles. Okay, not looking bad. Now move on to the details. I'm going to make the brick walls that you see attached to the body of the house. I'll start with a cube, resize it so that it looks like a wall. Now subdivide it for the bricks. What I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna keep only one surface of this wall for now, so I'll delete this, and I also delete every other edge on each row, so you have something that looks like a brick wall. Change and tweak things some more, and before we do the next thing, I'm going to show you to go to Settings, Modeling, and make sure you have the Keep Faces Together box unchecked. Okay, select the whole thing, go to Edit Mesh and Extract. Alright, now all of these faces are separate, as you can see. Now go to Object Mode and select the whole thing again. Now you're going to extrude it to make a wall one more time. Go to edit mesh and add divisions. And I think 1 is enough. Now press 3 to put it in smooth mode. There you go. I actually think this is a pretty cool trick. And now just same old technique, rotate, resize, reposition to make it look prettier. Oh, don't forget to select all of these bricks and combine them so that they become one object again. Select the bricks, soft selection, drag it. Alright, seems like we have a brick wall. Now I'm gonna make the door for the house. I have created a cylinder. You can subdivide a cylinder just like you subdivide a cube. I just want this to have 2 caps so that I can make like a ring, like a border ring for the door. Maybe about this big. I will make the outer ring smaller by selecting the edge of the inner ring and then scale it up. Okay. And what I'm going to do is select the face inside, delete it. Now it's hollow. So what I want to do to fix this is select the inner ring of the front and back, and then I'm going to use the tool called bridge, and it will just fill the gap. Now just delete the bricks that is not necessary. There you go. Okay. I also want to bevel the edge of this thing and then put it in smooth mode. Now let's make the actual door. I think I'm gonna use a sphere. I mean half a sphere. It's a little too much, so I'm gonna lower the subdivisions. Okay. Delete half of it. And kind of flatten it. Scale it up. I'll see how this goes. I'm gonna delete the bottom part that is sticking out. Move it up. Okay, I think I can let this go. If we want to, we can split two doors and then kind of open it a little bit just to add nice details, but maybe we don't have to in this beginner tutorial. I'm gonna make a window real quick with the technique that I did with the door. Also start with a cylinder and basically the same thing. And for this one, I think I'm just gonna delete these faces because we're not gonna see them anyway. So we can save a couple of poly counts. And I usually do the same thing for all the other parts of the model to save poly counts after I finish the model. I see a little cross inside the window, so I think I can do that. Start with a cube and make it into a stick. Subdivide it so that I can bend it. Also bend it with deformer. Rotate, reposition, and then duplicate it. Because all of these make up one object, which is the window, so I want to combine them. We do that by selecting all of them and then just press combine on your right side. I'm going to add two little doorknobs for the door so that people can understand that it's a door. There's a poly model called Torus. It's like a ring, like this. I'll just resize it, and it's a little bit too many subdivisions. I'll just lower it. Something like that. You can also change the radius of the thing, the radius of the ring, and also the section radius of the tube, like this. put it over here, like attached on the door. I want to duplicate specule it, so I'm going to change the pivot, and then duplicate special. Over the x-axis, yes. Okay, here I have a Chinese lantern that I made a very long time ago. So I'm just gonna put it in here because I want to follow the concept art, but you don't have to make it if you don't want to. If you do, it's actually pretty simple. It's just from one sphere, two sphere actually, and then three other cylinders. Alright, I think we're almost done. We kind of have everything we need, basically, because of course there's always room for improvement and polishing. But for this tutorial, I think I'm just gonna stop here. And remember to select everything, delete history, freeze transformation, and I haven't renamed all of the objects. I'm gonna do it now. Also, I will group them into their corresponding group. Actually, there's one more polishing thing I want to do is the brick wall. I'm gonna take a sculpting tool real quick. This is the grab tool, I suppose. I just want to tweak some of the bricks so that they don't look too straight and formal, I guess. You know what I mean, because I want this to look kind of wacky, so I don't want too much balance or straight lines. Okay, that's pretty much it. I think we can stop here for today. I think the result come out pretty alright. It does have the mood of the concept art. What do you think? What do you think of this tutorial as my first tutorial ever? I hope you learned something today, or at least you're ready to start practicing. In the next video, I will cover cleaning up your mesh, creating the UVs, and texturing your models. Okay, thank you for watching. Goodbye.